Hey guys, welcome to another video. Welcome to my channel. Here we are with the Ansett New Zealand, or Ansett Australia, I should say, 727, and this interesting livery that was a very brief part of Ansett New Zealand's livery history. It was sandwiched between the well, let me get this right. It was either between the famous shooting star liveries and their final capital A, which they call the star mark livery, or it might be before the shooting stars. It's one of the two, but I do believe that there was some sort of, I want to say copyright or something like that. They couldn't use the Australian flag kind of thing, so they had to. It was either they went with the shooting stars or they rebranded with the, that's when they came up with the star mark, the big golden A livery, which is really nice. But yeah, here we are with the 727. We're doing a flight from Alice Springs down to Perth. I did do two other videos. This is part of a longer flight that I did, but I wasn't doing any voiceovers back then, which those videos will be released soon. But yeah, here we are. Going to take the 727 out for a spin. It's a very beautiful aircraft. I really enjoy flying this. I'm not real big into ultra detail, like whatever, like modeling and stuff like that. As long as it does the job and it's all reasonably, what do you call it, sort of study level kind of thing. Yeah, I always find this quite interesting. Like, how does that light in there get power? It must be like a little. There must be some sort of power core that must go into the back of that. But yeah, nah, I'm going to do a flight using all radio navigation. I had a look at various cockpits in the Ansett Australia 727s, but I don't think any of them had the INS navigation system. They all use, I guess, it's a mixture of using the old-fashioned radio navigation and probably a bit of vectoring too by ATC. But yeah, here we are. We'll get into the cockpit. I've already started the pre-flight checklist thing because it does take a while for that to get going. And then I'm just going to switch it on to APU. For some reason that back steer won't open. But what I'll do is I'll change this to the change it to this, but we're not going to use that. We're going to be using the radio navigation for our flight. Just trying to figure out why this won't open. Anyway, maybe I should redo this again. I'll do the
pre-flight checklist started. Battery on, APU check. APU generators closed. Radio masters on. Parking brake power established.
right. What we will do is we'll set our flight. Start this all loading up, and then we'll go through and we'll set all of our radios. I'm guessing we'll have to wait for the lights and stuff to turn on. So while they doing that, we'll just set our
engine number 1 bleed is open.
Cruise altitude.
Engine 2 bleed is open. Engine 3 bleed is also open. APU bleed is open.
32,000 feet, which is going to be our cruising altitude. Get that Shift C stats up there too. What else do I need to do?
Fuel dump switch is closed. Fuel dump nozzle in transit lights tested. Fireball test completed. Annunciator panel tested. Gyro nav compass source set to normal. Main panel lights checked. Throttle warning horn tested. Fire bottle transfer switch set to lift.
Wonder when these come on to life. Interesting. I think there's an issue with our plane here. The radios are not turning on for some reason. I might just have to reset this quickly, folks. Bear with me. Alright, let's try that again, eh? Alright, let's go with the APU. I have the APU going.
Pre-flight checklist started.
Battery on, APU check. Starting the APU.
Alright, hopefully this works this time. Right, while that's happening, I'll just go to start assembly flight, import, get our altitude set. Yeah, that seems to feel a lot better now.
Generators closed. Radio master is on.
Yeah, that seems to have done the trick.
Getting power is left.
Here we go, now we've got the back steer coming down, which is great to see.
Quantity checked. That's good.
Alright, let's get our radios set up. So we've got, going to set up this here for our outbound, 15.9. That's set. And our next radio will be, here's Rocks, 17.1.
Engine number 1 bleed is open. Engine 2 bleed is open. Engine 3 bleed is also open.
Set 17.1 is our active for this one here, so we know when we can switch over.
All packs are open. Pack strip of warnings tested.
So that's Aries Rock.
Fuel dump switch is closed.
That is
Fuel dump
I've got a
down.
funny
Transit
feeling
lights
that
tested.
isn't a
Also the transit lights tested.
VOR, so that's a DME, so we'll definitely set that up too. So that's 233.
Annunciator panel tested. Gyro nav compass source set to normal. Main panel lights checked. Throttle warning on tested. Fire bottle transfer switch set to left. Pre-flight checks complete.
So just get this. We'll get these. Actually, how many do we have to do? We'll get them all set up. Actually, I did think about just setting them up as we're flying, but we'll get it. Oh, that's what I should do. Forgot about that. I'll get the get this loaded up. Get the passengers loading. So 218 is going to be this one here. Actually, you know what? We'll just get flying. I'll do that while we're in the air, eh? Sweet. So just go done, done. Get that all done as fast as possible. Oh, close up the aircraft. And we'll raise the flaps too. There must have been a issue when I resetted it. Right, we'll set our...
Emergency exit lights are.
We'll start our flight.
Radios are on. Alright, departure briefing completed. Logbook checked. Alternate flaps off. Stall warning tested. Engine and wing NDI set to off.
Right, we'll start out turning on our engines. We'll get all these opened up. Start with engine number 3, I think it is. Once it gets above 10, we can introduce fuel into the engine. And we're just going to change the departures to a...
Airspeed warning checked. Yaw dampers on. Throttle warning on tested. Stabilizer trim checked.
Actually, I've got no idea what they're going to look like, so I'm just going to have to go through here and just find the right one. Just bear with me, folks.
Flight director checked. Boost pump 1 is on. Hydraulic B pump number 1 is on. Fire control is checked. Flight recorder checked.
Right, I think that's the closest we've got to a radar one.
Radio master is on. Shocks and cones are removed.
Right, we'll go with the Matmar approach departure, I reckon. Is that the departure they gave us? Which one's this? You go for the Matmar 1. I think there's a... Oh. Virgin Airlines just about to depart there. Right, let's get this sorted, eh? Start turning on the other engines. Alright, we'll get this heading set for our departure, which is... Oh. 116, 116. So basically set it for the runway heading because we don't have much accuracy there. Right, we'll get our last engine turned on. Right, that's gotten above 10%. We can now introduce fuel. We'll set our outbound course for 236. Sorted, and we'll just push the magic B button just to set our altimeters, which I think they are pretty good. Yeah, it's a very hot day there in Alice Springs, your stereotypical hot day in the desert. Right, we can now do the after start checklist. Just make sure this is all good. Might go for flaps 20 today because it is quite hot. Those are all set. Right, actually I'll go back to that front page, and I love the old style notepad. Like, cool, everything's all sorted, so we can now
These pumps are all on. Rolling tail pump is on.
set our auto brake.
System B pumps.
Select flaps 15, 20, isn't it? Yeah, flaps 20. And I think we're pretty much ready to go taxi out. We will get taxi clearance for our departure. let's get going.
Spoilers. Flight director.
Love the sound of those engines spooling up.
After start checks complete.
And we'll do our taxi checklists. We'll turn on our taxi lights. And one thing I do need to do is select my controls for my love flying these old aircraft. I can't wait till the 737-200 comes out, when Milvis eventually does that. Right, I don't think this airport has a proper full-length taxiway, so we'll just take this one out. Do our before takeoff checklists.
Ignition set to continue.
And we're ready for departure.
Anti-skid is on.
I'm just going to check our controls, our flight controls. Everything looks pretty good. I love the T-tail aircraft. The only thing that really needs to be complete now with our flight simulator experience is some decent turboprop aircraft. We're very much lacking in, especially in 2024. We don't have a functioning ATR. We have the just as worse Saab 340, which I have flown, and it's pretty crap at the moment. Hopefully they get those things fixed in the next sim update, especially regarding the Saab, which is what we paid for when we got the Premium Edition. Right folks, I think we are ready for our departure. I might just power it up first, just get those engines revving, because it is a very hot day in the Alice. Get those set to those takeoff thrusts. Hopefully we can get off before the runway folks. Just in time. And folks, I have been reading some interesting stuff about these aircraft. And I do believe these aircraft were, back in the days when there was no such thing as health and safety, I do believe these aircraft were quite borderline when it came to takeoff. Right, we'll go back to this. I love that big, thick, black smoke coming out of the engines there. Right, we'll just use the scroll wheel just to turn the landing gear off. We can now go flaps 15. And we can also start our turn for our radial. Keep that nose up because it has dropped a bit since we raised the flaps. And we'll just select that heading so we can start tracking that. Right, let's see how well we do with our radio navigation in this aircraft. Right, just to make things easy, I'm just going to turn on our autopilot. Select heading, engage the altitude. Just lower the nose so we can raise some more flaps and get that speed up. And we'll select and localize the navigation. And we'll set our burrow, which is already set anyway. The last stage of flaps can now come up, as we're now motoring along the sky. Once we get to around about 250, we'll set indicated airspeed, like so. And we are now flying with the radios. Right, we'll do our after takeoff checklists.
After takeoff checks.
Turn off the landing lights and the runway lights.
Ignition set to off.
We'll get these lights a bit bright too.
Hydraulic system pump one is off.
Yep, after takeoff checks.
Oh, and did we shut that door? That's a good question. Oh, better shut the door. Oh, the window, I should say. Right, now we're underway now, folks. We'll start tuning in these radios. Right. Right, we've got our ADFs set for that. What we will do is we'll switch it over to there. Hopefully we'll pick it up soon. To 18 is going to go into this one here. Sweet, 218 is set. And we'll get this one set up. 14, so it's going to be Kalgoorlie, which is VOR. That is set, so we are just going to fly across the nice bright red desert here off this outback of Australia. There must be so much undiscovered land out here, like places that haven't been set foot on, right out in the middle of nowhere. The inhospitable terrain that is the great Australian outback. I really do like flying this aircraft. It's a pleasure to fly. Right, speed it up just a slight midge more. And we're just going to set our speed bug here for our eventual cruise, which we've just hit now. And we now come up on the ADF here, so just be tracking this NDB, I should say. No auto throttle on these girls, so you have to use manual auto throttle. Right, we seem to have got the right throttle for the speed, so that's good. And we're going to set our... We're going to go into heading mode now. Actually, we'll stay on this the localizer VOR mode until it drops out. yeah, what do you guys think of this livery? It's not my favourite Ansett livery. I prefer either the Shooting Star one, which was the one I remember as a kid when Ansett first flew to New Zealand, the Ansett New Zealand. But I do like their last livery. I think that livery is a stunning livery as well. It's got that very timeless look to it. Right, we're going to go to heading mode now, and we're going to have to fly the old-fashioned way. And our outbound is going to be 152, so let's hit 152. And we probably don't need that. Yeah, flying over all of these different mines and whatnot. So we're flying over Ayers Rock Airport, I do believe. So Ayers Rock, that's it there. From up here it looks like one of those mines, but there you go, guys. We're flying over Ayers Rock. Basically in the heart of Australia. Alright, we need to focus on this for a bit. So we've got Kalgoorlie set there in our 14.1, so we'll just flip that over so it's armed and ready, and then we'll set this in now, we'll get this loaded up. I'll just have to close that and reopen it again. It's not letting me select that waypoint for our final fix for that, to get our bearings for Perth. Here we go. We're just tuning into this NDB so we can drag this pointer over to where it should be, which is our outbound is 52.252, so Hopefully that will start dragging across. And we will enter in this viewer 13.7 into, we'll do it into this one here. .7. That's the Kargoli one. Oh, we're way off what I thought it was the other way we had to turn, but it's the other way, so we'll do that. Drag that pointer across before we end up losing it. That's what we wanted to do, is get that needle dragged across. And we'll probably lose it soon because these NDBs only have a certain amount of range to them. But yeah, we've sort of gone a bit off course there, folks, but we'll get back on there again, even if we have to use this to cheat. I'll just get this one set. Actually, we don't need to worry about that too much. Gradually getting back on track again. Alright, we can start turning this plane around now, get it on that bearing. And we've lost it, so we'll just hope now that we basically just, they call it dead reckoning, but we don't really have I don't really have the ability to do dead reckoning. I'm not really good with that, so we'll just have to use it. Have to just use the Navigraph charts until we get that next NDB picked up, which hopefully will be soon. Just make sure I've got it set into 18 is set into there, and ADF is set onto there. And we're going to be landing on RLS runway 21. You know what we'll use? I'm just having a look at the real world aircraft at the moment. They're using 24 for landing, so we use runway 24 for our landing today, which is like the sort of the basically this cross runway here. Haven't picked up that DME yet, that ADF yet. But we'll just sort of enjoy the view, the flight for now. The outside view here for you folks. It's definitely a very, very beautiful but harsh landscape out here. And I'm going to set up, I'm going to have a look at what my options are for my approach onto runway 24. So I'm going to select runway 24, which actually has got the best winds for that. And I'm just going to see if there's like a decent, have a look, see if there's any good radio approaches, but they look like they're all like these GPS ones now, so we won't be able to use any of those. Yeah, I've got a funny feeling all of these ones all GPS now. Yeah, these NDBs are not seem to be working, which is a bit of a pain in the bum, so just have to figure out why it's not working. But we'll select this for our next course, which is 220. I have set that the right thing there, right? 218. What if I try this one? Oh, it's working for that one, so why isn't it working for... Interesting how that NDB isn't that ADF isn't working for this one here. Alright, oh well, so we'll just have to use this. But we'll try not to use that too much. We'll try and line it up using this here. So we want this little pointer to come around to this 220 mark, and then we'll try and follow it out. Slowly hitting that 220 mark there, so we can now straighten it up a bit. Get it so it's pointing right on there. And that's us on our outbound using the NDB, and I'm just going to have a little fiddle around with this one to see why it's not picking it up as well. I've lost it anyway, so that's that. Must be a very weak NDB, that one. Right, we will set this up now for our Kalgoorlie. Get it ready for our Kalgoorlie, and while we're here we can actually select this to nav mode, so when we do pick up the Kalgoorlie VOR it should automatically pull us onto the course there. But it would be interesting to see how pilots did this back in the day, unless you're more NDBs or VORs floating around, but I can imagine the outback, there probably wasn't many out here anyway, so I'm guessing most of it was all done through ATC and just rudimentary guessing and whatnot. And then we're going to set this up for our... set this one up, so that's set. We'll set it up in here. And we're going to land on runway 24. So RLS, we'll set our RLS frequency up as well into, which one should I use? We'll use this one here because we already got our VOR set up on here anyway, so we don't need to use this one. So 109.9 is our RLS frequency, so we'll get that set up. And we'll go outside and enjoy the view. And just like that, it's tracked the VOR, which is perfect. I'm not too sure if it's an actual real feature, but it's quite a cool feature nonetheless that it automatically tunes into the VOR just like that. This livery is quite nice too, it's got a lot of wear and tear on it. Really shows that this bird has been through a lot. But yeah, we're coming up to Kalgoorlie now, which is a very famous area in mining in Australia. Lots of mines around the Kalgoorlie area. A lot of Kiwis out here apparently too, working in the mines. But one of these little holes over here, one of these were former mines that have been filled up with water, because that's what they seem to do with a lot of them. They fill them up with water once they're finished. And we'll see if we can see any mines as we're flying over Kalgoorlie. But what we will do is we'll get our heading bug set up for 254 degrees, so we can head out on that once we fly over this VOR. That should be just about there. Yeah, there it is. There's one of those big mines just in there. But we'll need to focus on the outbound soon. But yeah, here we are flying over Kalgoorlie Airport, flying over the big mine there. As you can see, it's a massive mining operation there. We'll do that flight. We might do that flight with this actually. And we'll just go back into this localizer mode, and that is us flying out on the outbound. And we're just going to set our radio altimeters for our landing. Get it all ready because we are now heading towards Perth. Right, both radials are alive now, so we're going to switch over to the Perth VLR. And we will set this. How far are we from Perth? Still a wee way to think about our arrival. Right, we'll request this different arrival, so we're going to use RLS. Oh, change it to 24. We'll go for RLS Y Yankee, and yeah, let's go with the radial A 97. And we'll select our, just was doing a bit of research before, and Ansett used to use the old, I believe the old Terminal 1, Terminal 2, so we'll find a parking bay. I'll try 202. See if 202 exists. Yep, it does. Perfect, so we will start thinking about our descent very soon. But what we will do is we'll set this course up for our inbound for 90s, that's outbound, so inbound is 277. And we'll just use the heading bug just to bring it in a bit. And to give you an idea on how where you are in the world, this will start moving across like so. Yeah, when you're doing this sort of flying, it is quite intense when you're just by yourself. As you can see, that point is slowly moving. slowly coming around, so we'll start slowly turning in towards our VOR. And we can now arm this navigation, our VOR navigation. And we can now start our descent, I reckon. Oh, one thing we will do is we'll select our altitude. And scroll, just reselect it again. And our radial is going to be 10 degree arc, 10 DME arc. We want to be there at 2,800 feet. And just select this to get the hundreds coming up. And we'll just make this a bit more aggressive, our descent. We'll get our heading bug set for our 90-degree turn to the right once we hit the once we get within 11-12 nautical miles of that 10 nautical mile DME arc that we're going to do. And we'll get our little tablet thing out here so we can get that ready as well. And we'll select our minimum takeoff brakes, our minimum landing brakes. And we can now set our baro, which is 17. And we'll just, I'm just gonna, for some reason it stopped. Stop descending, so I have to use a bit more vertical speed to get it down fast. Alright, we'll turn on our landing lights and our taxi lights, get it all ready for our landing. And we're going to be landing into the sun, which is going to be a bit of a, if you're a pilot, you'll be a bit not too happy about that. But we sort of managed our descent quite nicely. I was just guessing that there, so we should hit 2,800 feet before we start our arc. Right, we'll start our turn now, eh? And then we'll set our fix just before we do our turn onto the ILS. We'll set that to 73, which is gonna be that looks about right to me. That's 73 there, or 253 as our inbound, and we're going to start lowering the flaps. And we're going to now start our inbound turn for our inbound course, which is 240. And we're going to arm the ILS now, get that ready. Keep that speed up just a little bit. Alright, we're going to now switch that knob over to auto GS there to capture ourselves onto the ILS. And do the approach checklists.
Great pressure check.
Pumps are all on.
Cross speed number 2 open. 1 and 3 are closed. Fuel heat off. Hydraulic pumps all on. Approach checks complete.
Yeah, we're going to use flaps 30 for our landing. Yeah, this plane really does handle the ILS quite well. I'm really impressed with it. A bit full on there with our approach there. As you know, it's just myself in the cockpit. I'm going to turn off the autopilot and do this next bit by hand. The frame rates are dropping just a little bit for my liking, but hopefully that will rectify itself. But yeah, nice evening flying into Perth, isn't it? You've got the city in the distance there. A bit of turbulence there, I think. I need to change the settings of my flight simulator to make it run a bit more smoother. I think hopefully Sim Update 4 has more answers there. Coming into land. Spoilers can come out. Thrust reverses. And hopefully we can get some. There we go, we've got the graphics back. And yeah, here we are folks, landed at Perth. A bit touch and go there with the frame rates there. Looks like that taxiway is closed. Right, we can bring up the spoilers, bring up the flaps. Landing lights and strobe lights can all come off. And then we can go through to our after landing.
After landing checks. Brake pressure check.
Landing and stop lights are on the taxi lights.
Now we'll open up the cockpit window for some fresh air. And an excuse to listen to the engines. And we're just gonna pretend we've got clearance to cross the runway. Now we'll turn off the taxi lights. And we're coming up to our, this one here I believe is our gate. And here we are folks, we're just pulling into our gate now. We'll power it down and that will conclude our flight in the stunning 727. That will do right there. Parking brake can now come on. What we will do is we'll turn off these engines. We'll keep the keep engine number 3 running so we can shut the doors. Turn off the strobe light. And we'll go on GPU and we'll do the secure cockpit. And here we are, we've finished our flight here and safely made it to Perth, flying in this beautiful aircraft, the 727 in the Ansett Australia livery. As I say, I'm not too sure if that's in between the shooting stars and the star marked livery, or was that before the shooting star livery, between that and that, the retro one. But yeah, here we are folks, all of our engines, and now actually need to shut down the last engine. But yeah, thank you for coming along with me for another flight. As mentioned many times, this isn't for professional flight simmers, this is for the likes of myself who are not really system in depth into the thing, but just want to know enough to, you know, enjoy flight simming. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed my video, and we'll see you again next time.